Okay, thanks everybody for your patience. Had some technical issues we were working out. Hello and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Hand-Eye Supply Curiosity Club. We are your hosts this evening. I'm Will Akoma and this is Tobias Berblinger. Together we have a number of curious and exciting topics to share with you.
As attendees of the Hand-Eye Supply Curiosity Club, you are now all members provided you adhere to our philosophy.
Ex curiositas scientia.
We pledge to learn without prejudice in pursuit of our mutual goal, perpetual noviceship. We admit that it is impossible to know everything about anything, and thus we remain perpetually curious and perpetually novice.
This is our flag and our mascot, Franklin. The lightning bolt represents the receipt of knowledge, the enlightenment of illumination, the resonance of truth understood. It awakens and excites us and makes us hungry for more.
And now we are very happy to introduce James M. Harrison. James has made a career of taking the craft practices of one genre and incorrectly breeding them with the craft practices of a different genre.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. In the back? Okay, good. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I wish that I could entertain you, but instead I want to talk to you about a very serious subject matter that has had my attention for quite some time. I'm hopeful that by bringing it to your attention, maybe a flower of some sort is born. So let's begin. The title is called "The Earth is Not Up to Code," and this is very important. So I did think about some kind of non-disclosure agreement with you guys. I probably incorrectly decided that you can be trusted. I hope that trust is not violated. This is so important that I put these first two slides several times at the beginning of the lecture. So I'm ahead of everybody on the patent front. So any attempt that you make to catch up with me will be futile. The Earth is still not up to code. Let's go over some basics of what this means. I'm talking about violations of the atmosphere, violations based on what I call natural malice, provable events of the plant being hostile to human habitation, and perhaps a subject near and dear to my heart, violations based on shape. Start with the first one, violations of the atmosphere. Now we all know the Earth in general is a pretty horrible place to live, and probably once you factor in the water and the poles, maybe you're talking 10% of it is even worthy of habitation in the first place. So huge, vast chunks of the planet are basically junk that could be written off, sliced off. I'm not sure. My job is to get the conversation started. Where it goes, we'll see. Violations based upon natural malice. This is a gigantic category. But I think first and foremost, you have to talk about weather events. Weather events that violate national sovereignty. It happens every single day, regardless of the rules that people put in place. The weather completely disregards the hard work of individual countries, individual states, the United Nations. So the obvious solution to this is to create air curtains. Now, I know you're thinking, but this creates other sets of problems. Well, that's just because you haven't thought it through as deeply as I have. The curtains would not need to interfere with commercial airline traffic. They could extend up to, say, 20,000 feet, or whatever the height is that those cirrus clouds go to. You might have to make a few pass-throughs here and there. Details, we can work those out. Clearly, this would solve some other problems. This would keep Canadians out of our country. They would stop taking over our comedy markets. So that's an ancillary benefit, and in my book, that makes it a two. Here's a close-up where you could go into more fine grain of detail, which could be useful for keeping out Californians. If only there were more time, I would speak to you about many of the other categorized problems that fall into the natural malice category. My favorite natural malice problem is ponding, which, if you go back here, you see the ponding occurring just off the coastline. Happens on the other side too. So ponding is a big one, erosion's a big one, and slopes are a big one, but we really, promise to keep this to about half an hour. So I'm going to respect that. My personal favorite category is violations based on shape. What does that mean? Well, what would be the ideal shape? Okay, so, you get to pick, right? No one asked us, do you want to live on a sphere in the first place? Did you guys get asked that? If it sounds like I'm carrying a chip on my shoulder, I am. So let's look through a basic category of shape. So we have the sphere versus the plane versus the hyperbolic paraboloid. They all have their pluses and their minuses. I think, but come on, if you got to pick from a catalog of shapes, why on earth would anyone choose a sphere in the first place? It makes no sense. The amount of handrails that should be on this, with a diameter like that, it's in the millions and millions of miles. So we're just going to rule out the sphere, all right? Get rid of that. And what about the hyperbolic paraboloid? Interesting, a lot more variety. Made of lines can be ruled with straight lines in two different directions. Think about that for delivering the mail. All of a sudden you've got centralization, which you can see, and the lines radiating out are perfectly straight. So there's certainly a level of efficiencies that could be gained by living on a hyperbolic parabola. So, but there's some downsides. There's a lot of edge condition to worry about. Not so good for young children and livestock. So, time and again, I keep coming back to the plane. The plane simply makes the most sense for human habitation. Ironically, what the early travelers thought we were on in the first place, so maybe they had it right. We just need to set up conditions where we could pull this off. After a lot of hard work and thinking, and I'm extremely educated. I've gone to a lot of school. I've come up with a very good solution. So this is the mast tethering with handrail solution. In order to get the effect of gravity, you would have to have a large centralized mass. Why not use the planet that we already have, since it's going to shift anyway? Oh, I see. This slide is really hard to... Can you guys see the top? I see.
Now that you pointed out, yeah. Okay.
It's very faint. Very, very faint indeed.
Just show us your laptop. There we go.
Okay. See, that's the response that I was expecting. Okay, so I call this mass tethering. You use the gravity of the Earth so that everybody weighs what they're used to weighing. You know, you can probably work with that a little bit. The interior junk space of the United States could be used basically as a stand. Who has parents that live in the Midwest? We're going to have to relocate them. But, you know, that'll be fine, right? It's more interesting on the coast, as we know. So this would go up, and then we just run handrails around the entire perimeter edge. So I think based on all of my education that this is a pretty good solution. Let's move on though. Let's talk about what we can do now. What we can do now. You know, there's things we do need to do to the planet for sure. But, you know, some of these are long-term solutions. And we need to empower ourselves today, right? So that's why I've introduced the HOPE program, handrails on potentially everything. And it's so easy to come up with great examples of how our public spaces would be improved by having handrails. Here's Alberta Park up in northeast Portland. And I went out there 2 days ago. And that's what it is. Much better. Right? Much safer, a greater environment for kids. The list goes on and on. I found a heritage tree in downtown Portland. Protected tree, do not disturb. And then the same tree with the handrail. I mean, once you see it, you just kind of wonder why nobody has done this before. So I do want this to be empowering. And then you get down to like the most mundane object, a coffee mug that we all probably use most every day. And it's a clear violation of code. You can only get 1 or 2 fingers at best in that dinky little handle. So with just a little bit of work, I hardly spent any time on this. Clearly. So now we have a direction that we can go, and that's what I want to illuminate. And I think a lot of you are designers, and I really want to point out what good design is. It's solving problems. What else needs a handrail? People. That's a silhouette of my wife and I. We could use probably more handrails than this. And here's a couple of idiots in wetsuits. Again, once you see it, it's patently obvious. So I want to reach out to you guys. I mean, I know probably just from this, you guys are going 90 miles an hour. Your brains are just probably in overdrive. Things that we can do along this line, you know, to improve things, to create another layer of bureaucracy so that we can basically not have to worry about common sense anymore. Because then, well, you know, so I'm open to ideas. So, you know, you guys toss them out there.
Dolphins.
See, there you go.
Non-discriminate sizes, babies, you know, handrails for babies.
Handrails for babies. Any parent,
It's
yeah,
important.
right. I have a 9-year-old. I would like a handrail. So the point is, let's not let down our forefathers. Let's fix their mistakes. Here's a big one. Most architecture completed before 2011 is incorrect and needs to be changed. This is patently obvious to the point where I hardly need to bring it up. So in addition to the handrails on potentially everything program, We have the sectionally qualified universal access systematic homogenization program. And by that, this is grandfathering things in that have the incorrect proportions. You know, think of any great marvel of European architecture. Most of them are architecturally incorrect. So we'll start at the beginning. The Great Pyramid of Cheops is a clear violation of code. After the squash program, now we've reduced it to a 1 in 12 slope. Before it was at a monumental 51 degrees. And while that's great for tourism, it's terrible for getting to the top. So with this, anyone can get up and have a full access of the view. That's a big ticket item. You know, you think of anything like flying buttresses and anything that's above a 1 in 12 slope, just pulling it out and getting that effect. Small details, however, can make a big difference too. Who's ever walked through a door? Most of you guys. Like, I guarantee you go to, I was shocked by this. I was looking on the internet. They have doors in Japan. I didn't think they would, but it's like an idea that is a virus and it's spread all over the planet. So I started thinking about like what's wrong with doors, how can we make them better? Because they're clearly something we all are frustrated with all the time. So I just did a systematic, dispassionate analysis. Thought of a man in a doorway. Rotate that doorway. You have the result, and you smooth out the edges, and you have man on the gurney. So you've got, the erect man and the prone man, are two basic states of being, so that you can get anyone through any door at any time. And this is kind of taking it to its logical conclusion. Certainly, maybe the science fiction doorway for those of you that are fans of science fiction. So this will be the new doorway shape, and it's not top down. You have those two options. Because I was thinking about, this important question: what happens when a Segway meets a gurney? You go from, these fine, upstanding folks who don't look ridiculous at all. Now you guys see why everything's patent pending. Because of ideas like that. I'd like to wrap it up with an architecturally correct approach to our streetscapes, a common sense codified. Once we do that, we're done thinking, which is awesome. So I wanted to do a little case study. I didn't tell the guys here at Hand Eye, but I used your building, and I put some of my valuable time into a study of it. So here we have Core77 Hand Eye in the Google Maps, which everyone can see. Just a normal daytime shot where everything's kind of muddy, and it's a space to navigate. So first thing, pop the sidewalk with high visibility paint so that you can see where it is and differentiate it from the other objects around it. Continuing that trend, pop the building, make it visible so that people can really see where it's at. And then once you begin doing that, with the surrounding buildings, suddenly navigation becomes much simpler. Of course, all vehicles need to be hunter orange. Again, people in a in the pedestrian world are run over by cars constantly. So this will all but eliminate that problem. Lastly, make the road highly visible. So clearly, without question, this is much better than before. So it's a modest proposal, but it's a pretty forceful one too. So I just want to summarize. Acknowledge that it's not the Earth we want, it's the biosphere we have. Begin to develop solutions with a target date and an incentive-based market approach to reach our goals. Mass leveling of the planet with the volume, filling in areas, turning the Earth into a Venice that actually works. Wouldn't that be nice? Transcontinental canals, etc. Adopt a universal building code design principles for architecturally correct living. Implement the Gurneys for People program. The next point is pretty important. Nothing shall be closer to anything else than 6 feet. And that's based on the human height, And maybe we should go 7. What do you guys think? We'll go 7. We'll go 7. Update the UNESCO list of world monuments. Great Pyramid's wrong. Trinite dust is right. Yes, and then paint all surfaces, which we saw in the last one. I really hope that you guys are on board and that you've learned something and that all my college education has not been a waste. Thank you very much for your time. This concludes today's presentation. Anyone would have any questions, but if you did, I'd be happy to field them.
Have you ever been to the O'Hare Airport in Chicago?
Only inside of a plane.
Okay.
So describe.
I was thinking about the bathrooms at O'Hare Airport and how they have this really genius system in place where the toilets have these plastic covers on them, and you press a button, every human use of them puts a new piece of plastic around the toilet, and I was wondering if you thought of that for the handrails.
Yeah, having a portable toilet built into the handrails. I just didn't have time to get to it.
Maybe get germs and disease if there could be these pieces of plastic covering the handrails that continuously get.
Well, I think eventually everybody will have their own handrail toilet system that you walk around with.
Well, we're going to paint the germs too, so they'll be more visible, so you'll see them.
Hopefully. Right. That's nice. I mean, anytime a toilet can come to you is a good thing. Yes?
Have you prepared this presentation for City Hall?
You guys are the first one.
Is that TED Talk next?
City Hall might be interested to know.
Yeah.
It is election.
I mean, you could just maybe hypothetically put up some of our violations locally and suggest that.
Oh, I think I'll be going to the building department with this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You get a lot.
That's nice. I wanted to try it out on an audience first
Right.
and make sure that my concepts are sound. But since there's no objection, that's pretty clear that they are. So I guess it is ready for the next step.
I noticed that the mills are slowing the rotation of the earth, so we need some handrails on those windmills.
Ah, excellent. Yes. Right.
But they have to be at least 7 feet big.
Right. We may have to fine tune some of the wording.
Can we color the wind?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we do that anyway with coal. But we can do it more. Yes.
Do you foresee any percent or opportunities that artists can get involved in the design of the handrails?
I think that program is unnecessary. I am working on a design for sandpaper suits. That would come in different grades. You could start your day with an 80 grit, and then by, like for evening wear, it could be 400 grit.
That's super empowering.
Yeah.
What kind of outreach do you think the curiosity about the system is?
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping that they have a global audience. I mean, there's at least 20 people in here right now. You know, but it's kind of, you know, it could be the birth of a movement. I don't know, you know. Far be it from me to be so modest.
You know, we like the 1% of all people who know about this.
We're like the 0.000003% of this. Yeah. And that's ultimately why I decided not to have you guys sign a non-disclosure. Let good ideas disseminate and find their natural course. It turns out I'm benevolent that way. I have to think of myself. Yes.
Have you thought about expanding your handrail idea to include handrails on handrails?
Funny you should mention that. I did, but I couldn't come up with a good acronym. So it hit the cutting room floor. But give me your card and we'll talk. Great. Anybody else?
Back to the dolphins.
Okay.
What do you think? Handrails and dolphins.
Handrails on all aquatic mammals.
Okay, there you go.
Absolutely.
Just write them. Is that the
We'll
same
get there.
transportation?
We have to be patient with some things. It might not be as high a priority as filling in the Grand Canyon.
Maybe a new transportation system. Grab on and go.
Think of how many jobs that will create. You know, I mean, this is a jobs program. Absolutely. Thank you guys very much. Here there's a beer with my name on it.
It's true, you better move fast.
Where's my check?
We'll get to that after this. Thanks everyone for attending. We're skipping the 22nd due to Thanksgiving, but we'll be returning on the 29th with Nicholas Everett of Vanport Outfitters. Vanport Outfitters was founded in Portland, Oregon with the goal of producing durable, handmade luggage and accessories using traditional craftsmanship and materials. I'm sorry to disappoint you, there are no handrails on those bags. Owner and creative director Nicholas Everett was born in Portland, where he grew up working at the family business, crafting custom canvas products for sailboats and yachts. His 17 years in that field demanded a significant amount of design work with heavy canvas and the requisite fasteners and marine hardware. In addition to their bags, Vanport and Hand-Eye Supply have teamed up to design a special limited edition apron handmade by Nicholas and his design assistant Keely. The American Craftsman apron arrives in the store on November 18th, coinciding with a release party you guys are all invited to, for our Makers in the Modern World catalog, and it's our first, Hand-Eye Supply's first catalog. And then the hang tag for the apron was designed and at request by print and illustration studio Keegan, Megan and Company. Let's give another round of applause.
Thanks for letting me play a jerk. That was fun.